Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting, July 5th, 2017. Let's open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, it's not fair.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All the board members are present. Town manager's here. Do we have a sign-in sheet today? Yes.
I'll put them in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so.
You gotta do it left-handed though.
Approval of minutes for June 28, 2017. I reviewed these. I had no issue with them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th,
Second.
2017.
Vote. 3. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants, payroll number 110.
Make a motion to approve the payroll number 110.
Second. Thank you.
Vote. 3. Accounts payable, numbers 111, 112, and 113.
Make a motion to approve accounts payable.
Second. Favor? 3. Open session. Anyone like to speak today? Looks like we're free and clear. Committee reports, road commission.
I gave you a copy of the rewording of the sand bid. And I'm not sure, on the old invitation to bid that you had, it says price to be quoted per cubic yard delivered to the town garage on Pleasant Street, and or per cubic yard town loads and hauled, or per cubic yard loaded. I didn't quite catch the wording and what that was.
So they must have bidded it out whether or not the contractor hauled it or we hauled it.
Yeah, so I reworded it to say, to be quoted per cubic yard delivered to the town garage and mixed with winter salt at the ratio of 10 to 1.
Oh, sorry. So the bidder is going to mix it?
Yeah.
They mix it.
We're looking for a bid.
I can
Okay.
differentiate and get two separate bids. One they mix, one we
Yeah,
mix.
I think that's what we should do.
Okay, 2 bids.
Then we can compare the price. Because if you don't get both, we don't have any way to compare.
Yeah.
So you don't really know.
And in the past, you've apparently always collected samples.
We've never seen samples. Last year we didn't.
You didn't? Do you want samples? Because I can leave it or I can take it out.
Your wording is half-inch minus. I mean,
Who
Exactly.
then vets the sample? I mean, who, analyzes it? Oh, you do?
Well, I mean, you just want sand, right?
Right.
And you just have to make sure it's 1/2 minus that. To me, sand is.
right.
I mean, if you can
Just can't
squeeze
process
it,
it.
right?
I see.
That could be a problem.
Correct.
Oh, I see. Oh,
I mean, you can leave that in there. It doesn't.
But that would be a violation of your spec anyway. If it
If
had
it-
marks in it.
Right,
Correct.
right. So,
I'm not. To me, it doesn't. That piece doesn't matter one way or the other.
Right.
But if you want a sample, I think you should be able to have one.
Correct.
I don't find it necessary for winter sand.
My only thing is I would like to see worded differently, and it's for all bids, because we've already had this as a heated conversation once before. Bid will be awarded to the lowest bidder.
Unless determined otherwise.
Yeah. I don't know why it even needs to be there, because if there's ever an unless or a maybe or a shall, then saying that you're going to award it to the lowest. I mean, it's
Do
all
you
up
want
to
to
the
just
board.
take it out?
Yeah, or bids are awarded at board's discretion.
Yeah.
That bid
I
would
mean,
be-
obviously, we always try to save money and we look at the lowest bidder, but we have in the past looked at the lowest bidder and not used it.
We quite often do that, actually. If
For
the
whatever,
person has
mowing and stuff, we don't.
some history with the town and they've
Yeah.
done a good job, we don't switch for a few dollars.
Right. Because that's the only thing about bidding is if the people that we have that normally do a lot of things, everybody knows what their bid is, and you can see that they have been upping, so somebody new wants that piece, they just up the bid $50 or $100, or, you know, it's,
Yeah, come in just under and think they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
Right.
necessarily.
so,
Yeah.
So it wouldn't go to the lowest bidder.
correct.
All right.
So,
It would be at the discretion of the board.
right,
I don't know
right.
if any of our mowing is out at the lowest bid right now.
I don't think so either.
And typically, it's going to the lowest bidder anyway. I mean, that's kind of like the whole purpose of the bidding process.
Correct.
Yep.
So,
But I just know we had one instance last year where somebody came and was upset because he didn't get the bid because it didn't. He was the
Only for a little while.
Yeah, only for a little while. But there was a lot of phone calls back and forth to everybody.
But
But I
I
mean, aren't the bids sealed, or do they then come to the,
Yes.
to the meeting and
We
then?
open
Yep.
Oh, so, okay. So they would know if there was the lowest bid and then that they didn't get it.
Correct.
And for some government work, I think they're required to take the lowest bidder, and that isn't always in the best
Right.
interest.
No.
We are not.
Okay.
And I think in the past, that was kind of what we always did, was always took the lowest. But last year, we didn't take a lot of bids, it was the lowest, in the same way as this year. On all, we didn't.
And it's probably not perfect, but personally, most of us don't do that. I mean, if you get 3 bids, you very rarely, at least my experience, very rarely do we take the lowest one.
Right, you just,
Like, yeah, kind of, okay, this looks pretty good.
all right.
So that little tweak
Yeah.
doesn't require a motion or anything, does it?
No.
New business?
I didn't put anything on because I figured we had enough old, we could handle it.
Probably your instincts are spot on. Old. Item A. Item 7, letter A, Greg Road. We received some correspondence
We did from the
today.
attorney
Did you
today.
get this as an email originally, or did you? Okay, you.
It's a paper letter, and he included a map. Did you get the
Yeah, I
map?
printed the map for myself, but it is
This
the
is-
style
Whoa.
as yours is.
Yeah, because I scanned it.
Yep, yep.
And I believe it tells us in the letter that it is 1939.
May 16th, 1939.
Trying to imagine the
And see, well,
aircraft.
mine is highlighted, so you can see that how many homes are on this road. And so you can imagine that in 1939, with that many homes, it was a maintained road.
A lot fewer trees in those days.
I'd like to see that.
I blew it all up.
You did?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Kinda neat.
Oh, cool, very cool. So, am I upside down?
One
Yeah.
thing that I thought was neat that I noticed, yep, this is Flandersville now,
Okay,
current.
yeah.
This is how you come up now. But when you look at this, like this is the current now, but you can look at it, like right there is one almost like a deviation of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost looks like originally
Went straight.
it went straight,
Like you can see the tree line.
which would have been a long time ago.
Alright. Yeah, there's a tree line. Do you see that? There's a tree line.
If you need any clarification, I'm very familiar with that area.
Well, you were riding your bike up and down the road when they took the picture, weren't you?
Yeah.
Didn't do it with a drone, that's for sure. Probably a dirigible.
That road originally, like if you look at that map, it looks like
Yeah, I-
originally it went right straight.
May I come up and look?
Yeah.
See what you're talking about?
Right where it comes down to the bottom.
He's talking about this tree line.
You can see how the
that
road is
line.
like halfway down, it like shooting out there.
Dog legs around
Let
it.
me show you.
Okay,
Where you see a tree line, the road actually did go right straight.
you're right.
Right here, there's a big oak.
Yeah.
In fact, you can even see it in 39. See that little,
Yeah.
that's an oak, and where Varlin used to live, there's a trailer right here now.
Mhm.
And that driveway was actually part of the road. The town has an easement now out around on Earl Gray's property. Okay, they just didn't, there's quite a ledge there. If you look at it, it's very steep. Okay, so they just started going out around it. So you're right, the road did used to come up there. So you're right. I don't know if you can see all the dwellings up there. That's the Grant place. and there's one here. The Kamens live at Dick and Diane Clark. You know where they live? They live right here, up above this one. The Lentinis live up behind this dwelling that was here. This place here was the Dave Cleese place that I made reference to.
Okay.
My driveway's back here, it comes up in here. Okay, so all of these dwellings, you can't see when in the 33, it shows one right on this corner. So there were, in 39, there were at least 5, perhaps 6 dwellings, residences up there.
Okay.
So, and you can see that, I noticed that our town's attorney was copied on this. My instinct is not to ask for any feedback regarding this letter, but that's something we can discuss.
Right.
But I think, based on,
What was that payable we just signed?
that was,
4,200.
it's interesting how
is that-
responsive some attorneys are.
Yeah. Is that paid in full to date? So we're square.
Yes.
So that,
More square than.
No. We haven't got the bill for the last email and conversation yet.
From last week?
Yeah.
That, okay.
So I don't know, based on previous experience, he may not react to this unless we solicit a reaction. So, anyway, I've given this thing some thought. I'll just throw this out there. In fact, after getting this, I dove back into the audio files on the minutes. And it seems to me that maybe what we've been trying to do is maybe work this in the wrong direction. Last week we spoke about, our attorney said, there's a way that you could do work on that road for safety, fire, but that really doesn't solve the problem. So, and it's interesting, if you have listened to the minutes, but as I have listened to them now 3 times, and if you go in with a different, all of a sudden, what was clear, starting in April and all the way up through that process, was there was a great deal of concern about the status of that road when it was done. They clearly knew, or believed, I should say, that the action they were taking was going to make that entire road a town way.
The board.
The board. They also all seemed to agree that that was untenable. We could not leave that entire road a town way. It was just not going to be acceptable. So the whole plan was to ultimately establish where the town way would end, and either, whether you want to call it discontinuance or abandonment, depending on how you approach it, where that would commence. But the status, they all believe, and they acted in all the discussion, is that the previous attempt to abandon and even the adjustment wasn't appropriate, and so that's why they ended up doing their rescinding. As far as I find fault with any of that, they should have clarified the status before they even dug a ditch or put in a culvert, but they didn't. So that's that. So my thoughts are, maybe we work this in the other direction. We figure out where, because we know that ultimately this board or another board has to determine where that townway ends.
Right.
So we do that. Now there's a couple different processes, and we can have a meeting around that. But if we agree on that approach, then it's a matter of deciding where, and we start the process. Once that's done, the work can be done anytime. And it's just part of the budget, and we go up there and finish the job. We're able to live up to the, if we can get the discontinuance or abandonment where it needs to be in order to live up to this agreement, fine. If we can't, we can't. So we don't have to worry about, if we go that way, we don't have to worry about going up there and spending money on a private way, which I think we all pretty much believe that's not an issue anyway. But
yeah, 'cause that's I don't disagree with what you're saying. Because it doesn't matter every time we get one letter from one lawyer, if you ask for I know if you ask the questions to clarify this letter, we're gonna get a letter back, but it's gonna make you ask more questions.
The key
We're
thing
already
for
to
me-
the point of costing more money than it would have to just do it.
Last week's meeting, when we read the solution, and Mr. Burgess said, that isn't really gonna work. We could be in a position where we actually finish the job that originally was agreed to, and still get sued. Because the
Correct.
status isn't right.
Correct.
The status is really the most important part.
Right, we have to establish.
So we gotta get the cart back behind the horse, I think.
Right,
We'll go that way. It won't take up a lot more of our time. It's a very, I think there are two ways to do this. In this case, well, statutory discontinuance is available to us. That's without a doubt, we could do that. It's the most onerous in terms of the steps and possible costs because you have to reimburse abutters and there has to be an assessment done of that. It may still be that we can do a discontinuance, a statutory abandonment, which is really what the board tried to do in 95. We just pick a point. For example, if you want a logical point to me is to go to where they stopped ditching last year. That certainly is provable maintenance. They stopped ditching here. We could declare that abandoned as long as we're convinced that there's no evidence of any work or maintenance beyond that point for 30 years. I believe, my suggestion would be, take those two scenarios, go to MMA, tell them what we believe to be true about that road, see what they say. If they say that we can do that reasonably, the second option, we don't even have to pay compensation. We could do essentially what the 95 board tried to do. But we would do it with specificity, hopefully.
right.
And that would be, now if we can't do that, if MMA says, I think I would go before the legislative body, that's a 7-step process. We need to have assessment done in terms of remuneration to abutters. But those are, I believe, it looks to me like those are only two options. But I think either one is more attractive than trying to do this the other way that we've been trying to do.
Right.
And the minutes, and particularly the audio minutes of last year's board that kind of implemented this, support that completely. I'm not asking for any motion at this point, I just think maybe that's how we approach this. And if you guys have the time and want to listen to those minutes, you'll see, well, you were there, and
Yeah, I'd like to.
you
listen to
actually
it.
cautioned them repeatedly to get the status nailed down before you do anything, to your credit.
Yeah,
It's quite astounding.
right.
What's
So,
astounding about that?
Well, it's just with that we're here today. We've had all this drama about this road, and you were really the cautionary one about proceeding without establishing those boundaries. So anyway, that's kind of my. We get this off our plate. We stop paying legal.
right,
Yeah, I don't want to pay more.
no,
We go to MMA. If they think the less onerous option is available to us, we go for it.
right.
And if they don't, then we'll do the other one.
I think it sounds like a very logical, sane plan.
So I guess we could ask Lois to research those two options with MMA regarding that road. They're going to probably say, what information you have, and you'll have some back and forth. But when you have something substantive, then the manual sets out how we should do our motion, and
Which is great.
yeah.
And we'll just methodically go through
Yep.
what should have been done by previous board.
Yep.
You've already been in contact with Becky Seal on this issue?
She has some documents on this, but I wasn't really. When I was speaking to her, we weren't approaching it in that way. We were approaching it. How do we do
What do we
work
do?
on a road with unknown status? We
No,
want
but
to fix the
they
status.
like to make sure they use the same lawyer
Yes, it
each
definitely
time,
did
so-
speak to her. That's
yeah.
absolutely correct. And
Because the ditching part, that equals the 1 mile portion.
it's actually a little more than that.
Is it?
Yep, and it could be thought that maybe one of the abutters will benefit from that, and who knows, that might help us. Who knows? But at least it's a logical. We did work up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a logical place to end.
Yep.
Lance.
From the tire on the west end of the hill, which is now the Flanders Hill Road, to the easterly side of the entrance to the Dave Cleese place is exactly a mile.
Oh, really?
exactly a mile.
Okay,
And that's what's referenced to in
I think that's-
87 document that
That's
you
why.
have.
okay.
'Cause that's
So
the
it's
house.
exactly a mile to that.
And you think, does that correspond
Here.
closely
That's
to where we
ditching
ditching stop?
That's exactly where the ditching stops.
If that's the case, that would seem like a very logical place to just,
But that whole thing, that keeps going back. I mean, that's back
Right.
to the last residence that's showing in this,
Yes.
this
Yep.
old map. It goes back to the letter that we have from Public Works.
and it's consistent with
Everything that's
the
ever
plan that was started last year. We should be able to live up to whatever commitments we made with Lance. He made offers, they thought they were very generous. Everybody was on the same page, and then I think we just got the cart before the horse. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Lance, just from this map, I know your driveway's not on here, but is it after the Cleves?
No, my driveway is
Prior.
west of
Right, so it's,
where.
I just don't know where it is on this map. I mean,
Jesus,
Well, I
where's the big
haven't-
map?
I,
Mine is
All
out
the big glass to be.
only because I haven't been up there. I need to drive up there.
Okay, where are we here?
So you said this is the Clarks,
Uh,
up here on the hill, you said?
Clark's are here,
Okay.
up in here. The
Okay.
Lentinis are right behind, see this dwelling here?
Yeah,
If you went up there, you can see the foundation sticking up out of the ground. Lentinis are up and behind that. Then you get down, this is the Dave Cleves place.
okay,
Excuse me. My driveway is about 150 feet
okay.
from that, right up in here.
So prior to, when you go to your
Westerly.
house,
Yes.
you drive this
Yes,
way?
most of the time, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's a little rough going down over there. Once you get, it starts pitching about 100 feet before the Dave Cleves place, but after you go by that, it goes downhill hard. Very hard,
okay.
yeah. And I've never known the town to do anything beyond the Dave Cleves place, ever. Obviously, they did it one time because this road over here was just a farm road at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the town
The
has,
Flanders Hill.
this is now the Flanders Hill
Right,
Road.
right.
Yeah, and
The key
No.
for us is it would have to be 87.
Is that 30 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't, it's interesting, that the manual says, even if you had a road that was improperly discontinued, okay, so it technically was a townway, but everybody thought it wasn't because, and so as a result of that improper discontinuance, you didn't do any maintenance for 30 years, that counts
that counts as what?
as an abandonment.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you
Yeah.
did it based on a false
Yeah.
assumption.
Promise, yeah.
Or an erroneous assumption.
Right.
So our target is, we need to make sure, I mean, give us a cushion, 86. Then if you can't demonstrate anything beyond that mile that you suggested, then it would be within our authority to abandon that portion of road.
Beyond.
Yes,
Correct.
down to the hill, yeah.
Yeah.
Down to the sharp corner by
Yeah.
below Tommy.
You know, we
Camp's.
probably have other roads in this town that we should be looking at for
Yeah,
that prison.
that's a good idea.
Because if you don't,
Proactively.
a person could
Yeah.
apply for a permit tomorrow and say, I know you haven't done anything here for a long time, but I think this,
Correct.
Yeah.
and now you try to
That's
do
a very
it.
good idea.
When you and I
Yeah,
talked
sort of-
about the Grange Road, there's some nice property out there.
And the Eastler Road.
The Eastler Road, exactly. Somebody plops in there, they ask Jerry for a permit, and now they say, hey, you guys need to do some ditching out here. This is a town way.
Yeah.
Well,
Eastler's Road says the abandonment, Eastler Farm.
Oh, is that right?
and there's a lot of work to do between.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Probably set right on
So
the-
this is a process that we should get good at. and
Yeah.
We probably should start cleaning up the
Set a building
books.
to
Yeah.
prevent place and-
It's a better road than our Grange Road, but it's still, it's,
Outbuilding.
It's bad. You wouldn't want to bring it up. That's the code.
Okay, I think that sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very.
how long of a time frame? Maybe best case, worst case?
Well, to me, particularly if we have to do the more onerous, the 7 steps, we definitely want to be ready for town meeting.
Right.
Okay, there's plenty to do that I suspect we'd probably wait until town meeting. Honestly, I'll be surprised if we can't get comfortable with that 1986. We may be able to. That's really it all. It's if we make a good faith effort, if we can't find any records, it seems to be, and it's obviously I'll defer to MMA on this, but
Right.
if we can get comfortable with 86, we can solve this
Get rid of.
quickly.
Right. Good. Good. I like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got some
else?
ladies to feed at home.
That's right, you're a busy man. So is that enough for that for now, and we don't really,
I think it's great.
okay. B, the committee policy.
I emailed it to you, I didn't print you a
Yep.
copy. I did make one other change that we hadn't talked about. I had originally put March 31st in here as the date of renewal. I changed that to say, which would expire on the date of the annual town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
That
that's a good
makes
idea.
sense.
Yeah, because
So-
that's a moving target.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. And so I outlined, I did the planning board, I talked to Jerry, and he said 5 and 2, because there's an ordinance. A policy does not supersede an ordinance, it's the other way around. So you'll see it says in accordance with the town's ordinance
Oh, there you
for
go.
both Board of Appeals and Planning Board. We
I had
have
a feeling they'd be
ordinances.
different.
Yeah.
Do it.
So, I mean, we have some basic little shorts in here on those two, but, yeah.
No, that makes total sense.
And so Recreation/Parks, Budget Committee, Forestry Committee, Economic Development, which is the new committee that was just starting, and I put a big, I hope I changed it. I didn't.
It's not really new.
Yeah, it's
That's
been
2
around
years
a
old.
little while.
I copied it from Unity, and I didn't change Unity, so I've got to go in and change that one word.
I didn't even notice it.
I was looking at numbers and verbiage.
So they have a big description because the planning board and the Board of Appeals, they have ordinances that are 2 or 3 pages or 5 and 8
Right.
pages. And so I put a little bit more in there because it is an important aspect. It's economic development. So I thought that was an appropriate addition. And then for ad hoc committees, I put in the road committee, the Abbey Fowler committee, and the town hall renovations committee.
The biggest difference between the two boards and the rest of these committees is the boards are not advisory to the select board.
Right.
Right,
They're an independent entity.
Correct.
Right.
With duties and, so,
They actually work for the town as a whole, and they work for us.
correct.
right. But we have double documentation now for both boards saying you have to, advertise and do minutes.
Okay. One of the things that occurred to me, because this is, I guess this isn't all new, but it is, we're providing some structure where some was missing. Do we want to post this for public comment before we accept it, or do we, we can put it on the website for public comment, and,
See,
yeah,
I don't know.
Can put it up as a draft, or put as far
And
I
you need-
support it as it's written.
I like it too, but maybe people would like to have it, and
Have
at
their
the same time, we'll solicit, do we have official bank of names of people that are interested?
Yes.
Okay. We can adopt it and appoint tonight, or it's up to you. That's just something I'm throwing out there.
How much pushback do you think we're going to get with?
I haven't heard Pete. to
I
be
don't
honest
think
with
you'll
you.
have any because you already had a committee policy.
Right.
I think the only thing you're going to hear people on is on the budget committee, because we've never had that small
Small.
number of people
Right.
on the budget committee.
Right.
So, I think that's the only. But I was on the budget committee for 2 years before being a selectman, and I think if we can seat people that want to be involved and active on the committee, the numbers are there anyway, because we
Right.
have a lot of people that are on that can't make it to every meeting, or
Right.
aren't as involved as others. So, and those people can still go to the meeting. They're just not going to technically
Vote.
correct.
Yeah,
But their
use
voice
it
will
much
still be
more.
heard, their voice will still be there, so.
I don't have a problem with it.
Do we have enough, not resumes, but whatever, people submitting requests to be on committees to fill up our committees? Would you-
There was only one, I think that your road committee, you had 5 people.
Who do you have for that list?
Chummy Jackson, Butch Lemieux, Melissa Randall, Rich Doherty, Dan Hall.
Irvin McNaughton, Toby Cleaves.
Have they?
Oh, I
Said
did
they
have
wanted
more.
Toby to-
Why did I have more? I did have more.
So,
And that's the problem, you have too many. And I just picked the first 5.
Well, yeah, I would like to see the full list of people that are interested.
right.
And then, we'll pick them, maybe. Put check mark on the next one.
Well, here's,
Can you all vote?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
yeah.
Yep.
3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and.
yep,
And. Right?
Yeah.
First we have to adopt this policy.
It's a policy. I mean, if we adopt this policy tonight, say we get a bunch of, it's a policy. We can amend it, we can change it.
Absolutely.
But I mean, personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm all in favor of accepting it the way it's written right now.
except for changing Sangerville.
Yeah.
Sure.
You might want to put that in.
You need a Sangerville.
But as far as the layout and the numbers, I'm all for them.
Yeah, so should we just move ahead?
Yep, go ahead,
Let's-
make a motion.
So I make a motion to approve the committee policy as written, or with the correction.
We'll second that.
It's actually an amended policy, right? Because we already have one, so this is going to be the,
Okay.
it's not new, it's going to be
Yeah, new or updated.
revised.
Yep.
On the last page, I actually covered that. It says, this policy repeals and replaces the policy adopted on March 10th, 2015.
Okay. So do I need to say that or no? We're good with
No,
it?
it's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
So we'll vote.
Yep.
All in favor? 3.
You want to know, there is, I had Rick Pellerin, Irving McNaughton, and Toby Cleaves also on the original road maintenance, and I think, which one are you? Rich Doherty, Melissa Randall, Dan Hall. So I have them all on that one, correct?
Those are all the people that are interested?
Yep.
Right there. What are you voting?
I just indicated my 5.
Oh.
We'll see how that works.
You got to do 6.
Oh, we need, that's right. we
Six.
need
An alternate, but
I'll
you
put an
do-
A next to mine.
So 5 and a,
And
Okay.
alternate.
my problem is I don't know one of them.
Which one? They make it up here. He works for the state, and he's actually been volunteering a lot at the wreck and
Yep.
driving a lot of the trucks, and he's actually the one that's, for the last couple of years, has been the one that hauls our bulldozer around for us.
Oh, okay.
He's got a class.
He's Class A.
Yeah, works out of Haley's Pit, volunteering.
Okay, so,
I mean, he knows how to run equipment and
Right.
stuff.
Oh,
and
that's-
he's been working for the
No.
state. and
okay. I must know him, but,
He lives on Flanders Hill, actually. He's the one that's got the great big fish for a mailbox, and a little log cabin on the left. You can't miss his mailbox. It's a nice.
He's a retired firefighter
oh, okay.
in Massachusetts.
Okay, so 5 and then an alternate. So how did you do that? So what?
I checked
you
6,
want
and I
to-
just put an A over my.
Oh, no wonder.
Sorry.
I don't know why you're confusing me.
Sorry. I'm good at that.
I guess. I just,
Oh, I think the whole thing's gonna be an issue,
oh,
but there's, I'm looking at who on that list has road knowledge,
right.
mechanical,
Yeah, yeah.
equipment. That's how I made my choice, so.
And Rick Cullen does?
He's been the chair of
I
that
know,
committee
I
forever,
know.
so.
Oh, so that's a,
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at him as he knows the experience or the history of
okay,
what roads we've done and how we've done it to the past.
okay,
Rick may not know the nuts and the bolts of how to do it, but he knows
okay,
where we've been and how to get there.
okay. So he's the historian with regard to
Well,
what's
I mean,
been
there's a
done.
lot of historians there. But he's trying to be, that was very good work. But I
Whoops,
think Rick has always done a good job on that, keeping it on a task, and
Okay. All right.
and he's always worked on the budget committee, so that, I mean, I know the two are completely different, but that is the biggest bucket of money, so you really need to have that budgetary background when you're working on your road background.
right, right.
So I think, to me, that's kind of the bigger piece of what Rick brings to that whole.
All right.
And he does a really good job as chair.
Does he?
Sometimes he gets a little sidetracky, but he usually does pretty good.
Yeah, Rick, my husband thought he did it, does a good job as far as keeping things going.
I get the only question, it looks like we're all on the
Yeah,
same page except for the alternate.
Right, and whatever, I would,
Well, I've got two people who picked Irving McNaughton as an alternate, and one that picked Rich Doherty as an alternate. So,
Fine either way.
okay, so I'll just read, Chummy Jackson, Butch Lemio, Rich Doherty, Rick Pellerin, Toby Cleaves, and then Irving McNaughton would be an alternate.
I'm fine with that.
All right, so now you have to stagger your terms because this is the first year committee policy is in place and they do a 3-year term, but they have to be staggered. So you have to choose 2 for 3 year, 2 for 2 year, and 2 for 1 year.
oh, that's easy.
Would you say that again?
2 for 3 year, 2 for 2 year, and 2 for 1 year.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
I'll just start at the top and go down.
Yeah, except that somebody like Toby is young, I would say, let's put him on for 3 years because, or maybe that's not the right rationale. Perhaps
See, I
maybe.
was thinking if you put Rick on for 3 years, you get stability for 3 years.
Okay, that works. Yeah.
Where we're
Okay, there you go.
I would at least see one of them as like a Rick,
Yeah.
and then, but there again, I'm not opposed to putting somebody young there with it. But
Right,
I want somebody there to.
right.
I agree with that thought process. At least it seems logical.
There's both sides.
So
of it.
put those two guys together as the 3-year
Sure.
seat.
It doesn't mean that then, there's no term limit, right?
No.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
in
Okay,
3 years
yeah,
they
yeah.
got to run again.
Okay,
Or apply again. It doesn't mean they'll
Sure,
get it.
right.
They're appointed, so
And
sure,
they could quit tomorrow.
sure.
in fact, the
And they
board
could not show up, and we could kick them off tomorrow.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
it doesn't.
Yep.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Every single one of us could be gone when Rick reruns
Right.
or reapplies. Is really right. Okay. So then, who do you want to be 2 years?
Do the same kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of.
Take like a senior member of the committee and another young guy,
Well, we could do.
or whatever. Just you're looking now, so.
Chummy and Butch.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
I don't.
Like you said, we're just
piece
appointing
matter,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
This
right.
is just more
Yeah,
of a
this is-
technicality.
And then
So-
one of these is
Yeah.
1. Is that correct?
2.
So the alternate is.
Your alternate is 1 and
Oh, okay. All
Oh,
right.
it's always one.
Yeah.
no, that they also have a 3-year staggered,
Oh, I thought I
except
read
for
on-
the budget committee.
Oh, okay.
But we only have one alternate. Oh, but we could have made the alternate a 1 or whatever we wanted.
2 or 3.
Well, no, because, yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter how long the alternate's on for.
No, I mean,
I read one, I thought one of them had said the alternate was always a year. Maybe that was something else that I read.
The budget, where'd I put my budget committee? The budget committee is, the alternate is appointed annually. Your road committee, we didn't have any. It just says,
Wasn't even there.
no, in fact, they didn't meet for a long
it does say annually, and so does economic development.
Yep.
Yep, I did put them all annually.
So those, we didn't have to do that. So those are all annual.
Well, no, you've got to have, your third, so Rich Doherty is a 1 year.
Yeah, and Irving would be a 1.
Who's
then they can
Rick
just run.
Halloran?
Yeah.
Run again. So it's just getting
Just
stacked.
reappointed.
Okay.
Every
Right,
year,
I mean,
every year you're going to have
it's
2
just-
people get reappointed.
Right.
Yeah,
And one person may come and say, I don't want to do this anymore.
right,
Right.
right,
So that's all right.
yes.
All right. Then we have, this had started, but I only had Terry's name on it. This is the original list.
Okay.
For budget, that's budget.
I probably don't know.
Do you have another one?
I do.
I'm good at what you did. I ain't gonna mark.
Oh, okay.
We were on 2 committees together. We've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, Economic Development.
Good.
I think they, doesn't matter, I guess, because we're redoing it, but didn't they just reseed or?
Who?
those two?
Which one?
Yeah.
No, they weren't signed, they're right here.
Okay. Only the other one did it, right?
Planning Board,
This is their current status that you put next to them.
Matt actually had done that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, did you do the
No,
budget
no,
one?
yeah, we did it.
Okay, I think I've got, do I have-
We didn't double check it, we just went with it.
Yeah, I started and then
This is the list.
we concur.
Yeah, okay, so for the budget committee, I have Bridie Armstrong, Jerry Kazmarek. That's correct, I'm sure. Diana Biley as an alternate, Rick Pellerin, Cynthia Hall, and Terry Warren.
okay, so 3 year, 2 year, 1 year?
Yeah, in this case, I don't mind, just start right at the top.
Just doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
It's a technicality.
yep,
Right.
yep. So,
Okay.
And
you know what, If they're listed current homeless, I don't know any of them, so I would really defer.
Can I ask a question? Are you appointing chairs?
No.
Or will we vote for
Well,
a chair?
our policy, we don't appoint the chair.
Committee's always appointed.
So each committee will vote a new
Yep.
chair?
Yep.
Okay.
Or vote the chair. I mean, I don't, whether it's new or the old or whatever,
Right,
it's up to
vote
them.
chair.
Yeah, in fact, they could even change a chair in midstream if they wanted to. That would be up to the committee.
I don't know one of them. As of right now, those guys actually have 4 alternates.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, it just means you don't vote. They're the same 4 people who go to all the meetings.
You know what I would honestly do? I would just, they already have their 5 committees set.
That's what I did.
I would just leave that and then have them at their next committee, the new policy is 1 alternate. You pick it.
I have a problem with
And
that.
let them,
But if you let them pick their alternates, then you're going to open the door that everybody gets to pick their alternates. So
put them in a hat and draw. I don't know.
Yes. then if you know one, then you feel
Joseph Rotano Senior.
it's not going to change anybody's status. They're all still going to go to the meetings.
I would put that one only because Joe's done an awful lot on that record.
There you go.
More than everybody
As
else.
good a criteria as any.
I mean, nothing against.
Yeah, we didn't change the board 1 degree.
Okay, what's this? Oh, okay.
I don't know who. I don't know. It doesn't
Joseph
matter.
Reardon?
I don't know who that is.
Wait, there's another
Sorry.
one, right? Or we don't have to look at this one?
Economic
Oh,
development.
Yeah, you do. Well, actually, there's only 5 on there, correct?
5 and 1.
good. You got it.
Yep.
So that's already.
Perfect.
And as far as these terms, I just start at the top. We don't need to
Right, it's not
complicate this.
a-
It's just.
And they need
We would have
to,
talked about that more.
Yeah, we could have done it the first one. If you want to switch the first one to that, that's fine with me.
Yeah, make it all consistent. So nobody.
Yeah, how come you picked on that board?
maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, well, we didn't this first.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's fine.
It's just a.
I just like Toby so much. Okay.
Do you need a motion to make these appointments?
It wouldn't hurt. Do you want to do them individually, or do you just want to make a motion to accept these as discussed and what did we do?
Can I make it,
Yep.
when I type it, I'll just make it?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Good, perfect. A second.
but have the, yeah, I gotta have the motion though.
Okay.
Yeah, a motion to accept these appointed
For-
committee members.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Yes.
So like our appeals, we don't have to. That's already set in stone.
That's a totally
Yeah,
different
no,
thing.
I'm just
Yep.
making
No,
sure
it's-
so it's on tape.
it's all
And-
ordinance
and
driven.
knows and-
Yeah, your appeal.
Okay, and like
The
our
planning board.
right, and
Planning
like
board, ordinance driven.
our forestry committee that we have right now, they're kind of stale. But should we have them like right now? They're not doing anything. They don't need to do anything. But we should have those committee members on the current list as we're doing this, just so
I can
each-
have those ready.
Yeah,
next
just so
time.
when it
Just
gets
so-
reactivated, we know
Correct.
exactly who to get.
Who's
Yes.
who.
Yep.
That was part of the question too. Do you want to have your Abby Fowler committee reactivated, and do you want your town hall renovations committee activated? I mean, there's a list in the town report of who's who in those committees.
Well, are we done this committee part so far? Have we got anybody?
Those ones.
Okay. So the question is, I guess, if we're going to consider activating the Abby Fowler committee, or I mean, that to me is almost like a different topic. Because we have questions about Abby Fowler. Do you know? Can we do the taking that back, for example? Can
Oh, yeah.
we do that? So we got some moving parts there.
Abby Fowler is a nightmare.
All right. So that's what I'm saying. We're not ready, maybe, to see the committee.
Well, I filed a document with the Registry of Deeds that proves our remediation's done, and they sent it back. Whoever sent the DEP the book and page that describes was wrong. So I had to find the proper book and page and resubmit it and refile it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There was an issue regarding taking it back from the Historical Society may have required a vote of the
Yes,
town.
that as well.
And that was not done.
That
And
is-
yet we've changed the deed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that needs
So
to
how
be
was that,
addressed.
but what was the original motion in conversation when we put it to them? Did they do it all in one and we're just not,
I've got to do some more.
you know what I
We
mean?
had other
I
stuff
mean,
that was more important, and
No,
I
I
set
know.
Abby aside.
Yes. But I mean, that was, when they made that motion, that was the whole thought process. It was a temporary.
Oh, yes,
and
no,
they were
that-
gonna-
but it-
But I'm just wondering if they did it all at once, so it kind of covers
I
it.
don't know if you can, but that's worth looking into. I don't think
Yeah.
it would not,
It should have been part of the conversation because you're signing it over for,
right. It was
haven't
basically to
even-
fit through that hole that allowed us to get the grant,
correct.
because we couldn't do it the
Right,
historical.
right.
So they took it to the town agreed. Now, to get it back, the town has to agree again.
I
But we
think it
took
was-
it back.
I think it was just giving it to the Historical Society. Because I think originally the deed was supposed to say, you know, the whole outline of this is the process, but they had to rework the deed.
On that topic, I have reached out to Brian Hart again, and he has not responded to my written messages or my phone call, so I really don't know.
Written being email?
A text message.
Oh, text message. Nothing, not a
No.
word.
No. But I will continue. I mean, just,
I would, at this point, just leave it
maybe he's on
alone. Or
vacation.
I would wait a little while.
But once we have the status corrected, I think probably an Abbey Fowler committee is a good place to start.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, fortunately, it's one of the few items that isn't really, I mean, other than we're not receiving taxes on it, it's not costing us a lot of money.
Well, once we get things calmed down a little bit, everything in a row, so we can find out more about everything, I wouldn't even be opposed to getting that committee going this fall.
I totally agree.
So that when it does go to town meeting, to explain, you gotta vote to bring it back, even though you already did,
Right.
we could actually have a committee working on different directions or avenues, so we can nip that in the butt at the
In
same time.
fact, maybe we should put a posting on the website that we anticipate that we will have an Abbey Fowler committee, and if you have an interest, we'd like,
Yep.
we'd like
that'd
to have
be
some
good.
names.
Yep. Start, get the ball rolling.
And in fact, amongst anybody here, if you can think of somebody that might have an acumen for that, and you'd want to have on that committee, talk to them, call them.
Right. That's a good idea.
So,
Yep. What was the other one that you mentioned?
Town hall renovations.
Oh. And there was a committee for that, right? Yeah.
There has been.
Yeah.
And when I talked to Jerry Peters, he brought up that one in particular.
Okay.
So,
Jerry has done some of the work for us historically.
yes.
Right now, I'm not seeing any pending projects.
Well, we
The only thing
we
that needs to be
budget
done is the windows upstairs.
we budgeted a certain amount for the stained glass.
Years ago.
That's the windows.
Yeah, and Jerry has been tasked with doing it a couple times.
Yes, but he
Right.
says he has not been asked recently to do it, so and he is not soliciting, so that's why they're not getting done.
Is the $2,000? It was 2,000,
I think it's
wasn't
still
it?
there. I think
Yeah,
it's still there.
So maybe let's get a quote on getting that work.
Well, what it was, there's way more work up there than $2,000. So the thought process, that's why it's at 2,000 was figuring maybe we get Jerry to do $2,000 worth and get that done throughout the year,
Right,
and then next year do 2,000 more.
right.
But last year, he didn't do any of it.
No, I know that. So maybe obviously he's busy, or so we maybe need to find someone else who.
No,
might-
he indicated that he would do it.
Oh, he did?
Yes, yes.
But he's not soliciting, so we need to ask him.
Right, exactly. He wasn't coming to us to say, you want me to do the work. He wants us to go to him and say, we want you to do the work.
If it was in the budget, then it's proved. That's who the people, that's who every talk has ever been, is Jerry to do it, so.
Well, I say he was asked
Right.
previous
Yeah, it
years
was
to
all
do the
lined
work.
up. Okay, so we need to do it again.
Yeah.
Here's the bottom line.
We re-asked.
I will ask Jerry to do this year's budget of,
Yeah,
$2,000.
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's probably under new business or something.
No, it's under committee.
Oh, that's right.
That's Town Hall Restoration
Okay.
Committee.
So that ought to be the same thing, we ought to just seat that committee just so they're going? I mean, I don't know if they need to act.
No, I don't think-
There's nothing going on,
No,
so
we got
just
those
leave it.
windows that
I would let it
really
sit
been
for
going on
a bit.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because we still have a loan on the last part restoration that we did. So I think that was, the thought was let that pay off first.
Okay, before we start doing new
That's
projects.
what Jerry indicated, yes.
Oh, good, okay.
Does that complete
Committee?
C?
Yes, it does.
ATV route addition request. Is there another request for a route?
No, but I have an information and update. You're going to find this one interesting. So I think I was talking to Becky Seal, and she said she's never heard of it before, that two different towns own half of the road. And when I called Dover, he told me they have 3 roads
That they
are shared. Yeah, one with Sebac and one with Garland. In
Yep, I
addition
can
to
see
this
that.
one,
Yep, Line Road.
Garland Line Road.
Isn't that funny, that name?
Garland Line Road. I know
Yeah,
that
there
one.
you go.
And but Dover is not ATV friendly, and so what he said, he was not willing to go to his council and ask them to open up that half of the east, the line road. But he said, if our ATV club goes to the Dover ATV club and works with them and comes up with a good reason, and then the ATV club can bring it to the board. And I mean, it can be done. It might happen. I mean, they do have some routes. They just don't like it in town. I know in town is huge, that they don't like to have any in town. But where this one's way out here, they might be able to. And if it's the gentleman
Precedent,
that's handicapped, that's another reason that they may allow it a lot more readily than. So yeah, nothing I can do. They'll have to go. We can do
The other,
the East Sangerville Road, but not the Line Road. We can do the Line Road. We just can only give them our half.
That's,
Go one way,
that's
can't come back.
Pandora's box right there.
Yeah.
We're backing down the road on our side.
wouldn't really do that.
So,
Let's just hold, there's a club meeting next week, and let's see what they come up with.
Okay.
is the Dover Club robust and they're pretty good?
They're doing better, it kind of dwindled way down, but
Because they've got that, I mean, the railroad bed just cuts right through the middle of that town.
well, and they just did get a couple roads on the other end, because they got a trail finally to get through to Sebac. Because the old Varnum Farm down, that's the old way, that the trails always went, the way the snowmobiles, but somebody moved in down there, they just fenced galore that whole thing, and they've got some really nice western beef. So they're not letting anybody in them fields. So, it's a pretty neat operation they got down there.
What did you say, Western beef?
Yeah. Yeah, the guy's a merchant marine, and he
Wow.
bought all that land, and
The
it's,
Barnum Farm?
yes, it's massive
Yeah.
fencing and just hundreds of head of cattle. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Big
They actually-
longhorns?
No,
Oh,
no longhorn.
well, when you said Western beef, I'm picturing
And
them.
all that big horns, right?
Yeah, no, southwest.
I don't know anything about beef.
But you would be interested when you go down there. They go, because they've got all these huge pastures, they close the road right off. And they
Wow.
use horses, they corral them all up, drive them
Are
in
you
the end.
kidding?
Yep, they close the road off, they herd them all up and down the road to go from one field to the next. And
Neat.
yeah, it's pretty neat.
I'll have to take it.
It's completely different than any other farm around, that's for sure. If you go down there and look at it.
Wow.
It's worth riding
Interesting.
down just to see
Yeah.
how many, because I haven't seen that many cows in one spot ever in this county, but
Wow.
yeah.
Huh, interesting.
ATV speed.
Do you want to table that with this?
We can, or we can talk about it, I don't care.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you see that, excuse me, did you see that Dexter has it 15 miles per hour?
15 they had?
15, yeah.
I haven't seen
As you
any
get out
posted
of
signs.
Selectmen, as you go down towards Dexter, you make a right, it's right there.
The one that's Garland, you have to go towards, like you're gonna go to Garland, that's to get by that house.
Oh,
Oh, is that what that is? That's
Yeah.
where it says 15?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I know Parkman's 25. I noticed that when I was over there, the roads are all 25. We used to be 25. When they first started opening them up, it was 25 miles an
Oh, your ATVs? Right.
hour on the public ways. And then when they opened up more roads, Ken's recommendation was to not have speed limits. And so that's when that got changed. I got a hold of Brian Bronson, he's in charge of the whole thing. He says the state does not recommend reduced speeds because he says they feel that going with the flow of traffic is more important than being reduced. Not saying I agree with that. In situations, maybe yes, I would agree. But
Well, on my road, for example, I get a fair amount of ATV traffic, and I think going with the flow of traffic is much safer than the other way. Because a lot of walkers, that just by definition, if you're going 25 and the speed limit's 45, we got to get around you, and there's not much road there.
there's not much.
So it just seems, I think the state's position on it is logical.
I mean, the big thing on this particular reason why this is coming up, we have one issue that I knew of at the time. And that's because she has horses and they were some people that were driving well above the, I would assume was the posted speed limit. So it was another issue on top of that issue.
Which is illegal.
Correct. And like she was mad because, you know, she was trying to do stuff with the horses and you got these ATVs just cranking up the road. So, and I remind her, it's like, they're not supposed to be going that fast anyway, just call the sheriff's department. So, I don't know.
Are the ATVs supposed to stay in the lane of travel as well? They're not supposed to stay to the side?
Stay to the right, yes.
Stay to the
They
right,
have to
but-
stay in the
Well,
dirt.
yeah.
All the roads are on paper,
They
because
say
there's
they're on
nothing
paper.
there.
Right, they can stay right on the pavement
Yep.
and take the place of a vehicle.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
they're not to give way to a vehicle or anything like that. They're supposed to keep their, and hence
And follow the
the same
speed
speed limit.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
I saw a kid on a road, this was a highway, it actually was Zions Hill Road. Yeah, it was Zions Hill Road. He was driving a quad, it looked like he had an adult beside him, but it was clearly a kid driving. How old do you have to be to drive an ATV? 15
Depends
or
on
16?
how big the engine is.
I can't remember if it's 16 or 18 before you roll out on the hot top, though.
Do you have to have a driver's license?
No.
No.
Oh,
That's the other.
Because he made a terrible left-hand turn. I mean, he just cut right across.
You don't have to have insurance. They've tried to pass the insurance gig. I don't know how many times they can't get it passed.
Yeah, but we all know that the town has no liability. Right?
Correct.
Right.
So that's solved their problem.
But I mean, the laws are there, and I would have to look. But it's either, they're not supposed to be on the road, but it's at least 60 before you're even supposed to
Well,
cross.
this kid looked like 15 and a half. And he's driving around Zions Hill Road in a big quad.
Wow.
And the only reason I really noticed him was his left-hand turn was so sloppy. So anyway,
That's kind of scary.
we can do what you want to do. I mean, we can make a motion or talk more about it, but my instinct is to kind of go with the state on this.
I can see both sides. I mean, if I can go either way because I really can. I mean, I understand the thought process of the 25 because we do have a lot of rough roads, but the other side of it is the four-wheel is probably safer on our rough roads than a car is. And we got cars that are clearly doing 60 miles.
I
an
have
hour.
much more of a speeding problem with cars than ATVs.
So-
Not even close on my road.
Agreed.
The other problem is I always have a reluctance to put up any sort of a barrier that we have no enforcement mechanism for. The county or the state is not going to enforce our 25-mile speed limit. It's
Right.
just decorative.
Right, so forget it.
That's kind of my, it's just show.
Yep,
That's
Yep.
all it would be.
yep.
And somebody's going to pay for the signs, and somebody's going to steal the signs.
Yep.
And what is it really for? That's kind of.
Right.
Now, if we had our own little police force, we could enforce this, but we're not going that route.
We have a constable.
Get him a horse.
All right, should we do that? Just keep it at the state?
Just no
States.
action.
Right,
No
right,
action.
right,
None
no
taken. E, the tax discount, MMA ruling. This has to do with the 2% if you pay your taxes within a certain window.
Yes.
If you have an escrow mortgage, up to recently, we have denied you the 2% unless the bank worked it out. We weren't willing to facilitate that.
Right.
So I forwarded you this letter, didn't I? As I said before, I do not believe the town can unilaterally decide by policy or otherwise to apply overpayments by mortgage holders to next year's taxes. If a mortgage holder overpays, I believe they should be notified and given the choice of either receiving a refund or applying the overpayment to next year's taxes. I was talking to Alvina this morning, and rather than put a policy in, what if we sent them a letter, and if you wish to have it refunded, respond within so many days of receipt. If you do nothing, we will apply it to the 2017 taxes. 18, the next year's
Right.
taxes.
If you like that solution, I don't have a problem with it.
To me, honestly, this whole conversation isn't really a board issue, it's a management issue. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, now you know
But not if you went to a policy.
We gotta say,
Correct,
prior
but I
to
mean-
this, the policy was not to give them the money back.
Right.
So
It was
now
the
we're,
office policy, it wasn't a town policy or a board policy, it was.
well, it was a board policy when I was listening. The board said, no, I don't think you should I don't want to dedicate any office
Oh.
staff energy into giving back money.
Yes, I did hear that. You're correct.
So I think, now we will have postage, we will be sending, there are other ways to do it. We could say, we'll give it to them if they ask for it.
I don't care, either a phone call or a letter, whatever you feel you need to do.
But yeah, I agree with Dale. Now we're into the area where it's your
I think a
call.
letter is going to be, because if you call them, you're calling and you're asking for finance department.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and you're on hold, and
Well, I
sign a
call-
letter, you put it in the mail, and it's done.
It's
I
going
should
to the
call.
resident.
No, it has to go to the
To the
person that
mortgage,
pays
to the
the
lien
The
holder.
resident
taxes.
gonna work.
Why?
Well,
They don't want it.
they don't want the letter. The bank could care less.
Do you want us to send it to the resident?
I think it's gonna go. to
That
the
they
resident.
have to contact their mortgage holder then. And the mortgage holder has to request the refund.
They won't.
They won't do it.
Well, but they can put it to the 2017 taxes.
Okay, well, that's
That
a
would be the way
new
around it.
option. In fact, what about this? If they pay within the window, just do that. Just apply it to next year's
You
taxes.
can't. The MMA said you can't.
All right, MMA saying you have to.
We
have to call
ask them if
them.
they want us to.
You have to.
That we have
We
to
can't
offer the
assume they would.
choice.
Oh, okay. Okay. But, all right.
How confusing is it going to be when residents or people that do have a mortgage get that letter? Are they going to be totally?
You get a phone call, I'm sure. One of us is gonna.
Well, I already got a phone call from a resident who was frustrated because he couldn't get his money back.
Okay. All right.
So
all right.
he'll be thrilled.
Okay.
In the past?
Just this recently, this tax period.
But honestly, this shouldn't be that
He was
big a deal. You should be able to come up with a
anticipating it
generic
again, because he's gone
postcardy thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't gotta be a letter, it could just be a generic statement.
Do you have an
Saying-
escrow mortgage?
Right.
You're
I could
okay.
actually put it on the tax bill.
There you go.
I
There
can
you
change it and put it on the
go.
tax bill. If you have an escrow company and your mortgage company pays your tax bill, you need to verify that they take the 2% discount, or you need to have them,
Right.
Whatever.
Perfect.
You figure out
Yeah.
how
That's
like
good. That's great.
no extra postage.
Yeah.
And then if they're motivated enough to respond, they'll get their money back.
We knew we
That's right.
hired you for a reason.
I like that.
sometimes I just have to talk it
It's-
through.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the good part about talking it through.
It
because-
is. Yep. That's great.
Yeah, if you can figure up a verbiage to put on that covers the whole thing.
Right
and then
there.
If you don't get a response, it automatically goes right on their next year's tax.
So you guys have a way of knowing what's an escrow and what is not, because the tax bill's going to the bank. So by definition,
No.
it's an escrow?
No, we send the tax bill to the homeowner. The
Homeowner
banks usually
refers it.
call,
That's-
yeah.
Okay, so everyone's gonna get this notice?
Yeah, because I was gonna
Every
say,
landowner will get the notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will be just part of their regular
Right.
statement.
All right, well, that's fine.
Just keep it to be a brief statement, so it'll be there, and
Right.
Yep.
it'll be the town's new mission
And
statement.
it will only work if the landowner gets it and not the mortgage company. The mortgage company isn't. So
Right.
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Right.
Yeah, because it is up to the landowner
That's right.
to submit that tax bill to your escrow company
Right.
Yeah.
for them to
Yeah.
process.
So if they
it.
drag their feet and it doesn't get paid in time, they wouldn't qualify?
That's
Just
right.
like anyone else?
That's right.
Correct.
So, okay, you've worked out a good solution there.
The second part of the question was, what about in the past?
Yeah.
And you remember reading his response was, take it only, if somebody asks for it, only offer the 1 year, and
Yep.
just take it as a
I
Yeah.
think,
Yep.
yeah,
case-by-case basis.
Yep.
Yep.
It's very
That's
good.
it.
management decision.
Very, very good.
I'm starting to like that word.
Item F, domestic partner addition and insurance benefits.
Okay, so I gave you guys all copies of Well, I only had given you 3 copies, but you had requested, and I sent you the website so that you could see every different option available. How do you want to do that?
My only first question is, when is there an open enrollment for health insurance? 'Cause I
New
know-
hires are open enrollment always, and November 15th to February 15th, I believe.
So this, any action we wanted to take really couldn't take effect until November 15th, unless we hired someone tomorrow.
No.
Then we could,
Only if you put the plan into place to offer,
Correct.
and you'd have to change your personnel policy, which we haven't done, but that, I mean, this is where we're starting.
right.
Right, but I wanted to know that information, because say like our open enrollment was last month,
Right.
there's no sense to really worry about this, talk about this till.
Well,
Except if we hire somebody.
well, no.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, Matt has asked for us to add these other policies because he doesn't want to pay for the POSC.
Right, he will
can't
prefer
afford it.
a lower
He
option.
wants one of the 2 lower options on the Cobra.
Right, but we're not gonna be able to offer that until the open enrollment.
Cobra.
is-
Cobra we can.
Oh, on Cobra.
But they can't even have access to the lower tier if we don't offer it.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Is there any cost associated with us offering more options? So,
No.
yeah, it's just a.
It's just a formality, and then I just write a letter of intent and say, done.
So we should do it.
I would like to have more in-depth conversation.
Yeah, I agree with
How
that.
we should structure and what we should do, because I'm thinking, I understand what the start of this conversation is, but I've got my own thought process of where this really needs to go.
And I don't have an answer for that. I'm waiting. I didn't get it returned to me today.
But that's why I wanted to know about the open enrollment and how,
Right.
you know.
Okay, so we want to table this?
Well, can we do the domestic partner part? Because I
Yes.
can't get
That-
my
I can't believe
domestic
it hasn't already been
partner.
done.
No, that's not
No,
even,
you have to
that's
have the
not
motion.
part of the conversation.
Okay. I would make a motion that we add domestic partner as a covered entity in our benefits plan.
I'll second that.
In favor? And we're going to table the insurance benefits portion for additional information.
How do you, I mean,
We just table it.
okay.
Yeah, I'm with you, that's gonna be a pretty, we wanna vet all the options, and then,
Well, I think it's a very good opportunity to do a little bit of restructuring and how we do this, and that's why I was curious about these other plans and what they offer, and
but we really should have things in place before the fall.
Right.
oh yeah, definitely. And I don't even, I think they should be in place well
Yep.
before that, so
Yep.
everybody understands what can happen. So.
Good. Mill rate and commitment date.
Okay, so we know we don't have a school budget yet. The state did pass their budget, and I emailed you all that. The homestead exemption went up to 20,000, but our refund went down to 50% versus the 62.5%.
Retroactively.
Yes, retroactive.
So we were in the budget assuming a 62, we
And
got
we're getting
50.
50.
It's like 900 grand in assessed value that we lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, what's our mill rate? That's coming up.
But so this here,
It's about to go up.
well, no, if we keep it at a 19 mil, which is what we were last year, and I talked to Tom Goulet, and he says we can do commitment. The school budget number that we can take by law is the number that the school board passed, even though it was not passed by the voters, the school board passed it. So that was their proposed budget, we can use those numbers. And then whatever we're over, we just apply to next year's school budget. And that we've done that this year too. We had almost 15,000 from last year that we are applying to this year. So that being said, the school budget number is 807,163, based on their proposed budget for the next fiscal year for the school. And so if we use these numbers, and that's putting in the 41,000 under the municipal appropriation for the overlay, abatements, and discount. A 19 mil technically calculates to a 13,000 overlay that you can. You're within the state 5% allotment.
And and the 17,000 that we just got surprised on, but roughly 17,000 because of this 900,000 assessed value.
It's all calculated
It'll
in
work.
here. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, the ones I gave you last week, at the 19%, you had an overlay of like 20, 30,000.
It's only
it
1
just
year.
cuts- and it's only 1 year.
They go to 60. They'll go back to 62 and a half next year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So do you want to set a commitment date, because you do have your discount period that is July 31st, and we don't have a tax bill yet.
So why wouldn't we do this? Are we missing
Well,
something?
no, I would recommend you to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
To go for it. Do you want the 19 mil? It keeps
Yeah.
it level. I know it doesn't drop it, and we were hoping to drop it, but
That's next
it
year.
is what it is.
Next
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
It did go up.
So
That's right.
That's right. It didn't
take
go
a-
up.
That's
no,
a,
not going up is the first time in
Yeah,
several
that's
years.
a
That's a
step.
gain.
That's a step.
Yeah,
So
that's
do you need a motion?
Oh, I just want to know when you want to do it. I don't necessarily need a motion, but a date would be good, so I can let Hamlin know.
As soon as possible.
Okay,
Oh.
I'll work with him.
oh, can I back up just one little?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming, I'm guessing, I think I can guess right, but the question you didn't get an answer for when it was on insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, my question, to add to that question, is how could a board make any type of a agreement of unbudgeted funds? Because, I mean, I can see when we do anything, we're doing it off this year's budget. How could you,
You can do it
How can we
you can do it
spend
with an
money?
employment contract.
for 10 years of unbudgeted funds?
Well, I mean, if you hired a town manager and said, we're going to give you this,
Yeah.
and you'd essentially be committing the town to money that it hasn't even allocated you yet. I mean, maybe that's a stretch. I mean, that's not the example you're looking for, but
Yes. You are right. I didn't think of it that way.
Being
We
more
actually do that
specific.
with- On your, like your contract, where part of that contract, we're saying we're gonna pay you X amount of money for so many years.
Right. That's usually acceptable to do a manager's contract for multiple years. If you do like any other kind of contract, any multi-year,
I
you
was just
can't.
thinking on the other piece, on the insurance, the benefit issue with the insurance of,
Certain percentages.
yes. I mean, I'm just trying to grasp this concept.
Because at one point the town did offer 100%.
but we don't know the answer as to whether that's permanent. Or have you gotten an answer?
I haven't gotten an
Okay,
answer,
well,
but I know when I was in Bradford, did I tell you this? My employee was technically, at one point before I was there, long before I was there, she was part town worker, part state worker, and the town had to pay the state wages and the state vacation benefits. Yes. And so they still continued to have to pay her at the state vacation time, which is like almost 8 hours a week she earns of vacation time.
Yeah, but that's the
Because,
entanglement of the state employee.
right,
Yeah.
because, and I think your municipality laws are going to kind of hold you in that where, I mean, usually you have a lot quicker turnover. The lady in Bradford, she's been there over 40 years, so that's why it's still there and it's still maintained. And that's why we have that one, because at one point it was offered through the personnel policy. And so you're probably going to be locked into that. Now, does that mean we're locked into 100%? Or can we say this year, if we want to change the personnel policy, that dollar amount that we're paying, can we
Correct.
cap it at that? I'm waiting for that answer. You know, if we offer different plans,
Correct.
Sure.
that's what the answer I'm waiting for.
Thanks, Toby. Anything more on mill rate? Yes,
Nope.
you got what you need from
Yeah.
that? Yep. Correspondence?
You have an open house invitation to Perk work.
Okay.
If you want to see it, you can
Put that on
look
mine.
at that.
Where's that whole thing at as far as them being down and the new one up?
My understanding is that, well, we're still paying Perk.
Correct. We're
May
still
I see
with
it?
her.
But I thought we were switching to MRC.
Correct.
Um,
That's what I mean, MRC, I haven't heard anything about MRC for months. I didn't know if you'd heard anything as far as how.
I haven't heard
it goes
anything from them. There
Okay.
is a folder in there. I haven't read it.
forward. I didn't know if there was anything as far as where that whole thing was at, as far as up and
I
down.
thought it was settled. I mean, with the town part of
Right.
what we were,
Yep,
but,
yes, the town part, were settled. I was just curious of
Yeah.
the structure of it,
Yeah.
where they were at as far as how close before it's going. So, doesn't really matter.
Okay.
We're committed to Dover, and wherever Dover goes is where we're going, and that's the end of the conversation, really.
Unless they don't put that ATV road.
See how that works
Okay.
for you.
Additional items, agenda items?
I have nothing.
I will share a story. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just had a question.
Go ahead.
We're getting together with Chuck, is that his name?
Phil,
Phil. I wrote Chuck and I wrote a question mark. I'm sorry.
tomorrow
Hay in the brain. Tomorrow. That's tomorrow. At
morning.
9 o'clock.
Did I tell you 9?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I posted 10.
Why? You did tell me 9 and
Yeah,
you
told
left
me
it on
9
my
too.
cell phone.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's on the
But-
website as 9 too.
Okay.
Okay, so it's at 9?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'd like to come.
Okay.
Are you going?
Do you want, can we both go?
Yeah, I posted it.
Okay, yeah.
All three of you
Posted
can go.
it,
I
okay.
posted it.
So, okay,
You're fine.
so I have, I'm going to be in Dover at 8, but I'll be back
Okay.
and we'll just meet here at 9.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm planning on coming. If not, I'll communicate.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll be here
If
at
I
9.
can't get, because I have an appointment at 8. Okay.
I'll be here a little bit.
Okay.
I got a call from Doherty. He was concerned about, well, a number of things, but it had to do with the smell of marijuana on the main street, and he talked about that. But there isn't a lot that you can do about that. But his story led to another incident where some kids were concerned about some hypodermic needles that they saw on a trail that leads down to the stream. And he said he went down there and he said, he made it sound like hundreds. So it was a real mess. He got a hold of the sheriff, and the sheriff might get somebody to clean it up, I guess. So he was quite taken aback that we had that big a problem.
I would be surprised if the sheriff's department got involved and cleaned that up without her knowing about
I don't know that they did.
That's what I'm
Honestly,
saying,
I don't know that they did.
it. I just don't know where or who, what they would use, or, I mean, they're not personally gonna get down there and clean that up.
No, I don't know.
Right.
And I don't know if it's evidence gathering, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. In fact, I don't know that it's cleaned up. So it's kind of surprising that we've got that big a problem. And we maybe a few people doing a lot of things, but I really don't know. But
The bad part is, a lot of people do use that. I mean, every year, that's like when they stock this river. You see people all the time, they park in
he said
town.
there were kids playing along the path.
Well,
so.
there's always been kids playing in there, but I mean, a lot of people go down through there and they fish that from the dam down to the river. Because all
What?
them trout they
I don't know
stock,
where
they
the
don't-
path is.
I don't either.
It's
Yeah.
when you go across the bridge,
Okay.
don't go across the bridge. You park your car and you get out and you walk, and you can walk all the way down that stream, all the way to Mill Street.
Oh, okay. Oh.
All the way to the river.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can get out through and go.
So there's a path that goes right
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's been there for.
Right by Haley's in the cemetery?
Well, you go behind Haley's.
No, it's out in the back.
Yeah.
But like right
But
here.
it starts right
in
at the
town.
bridge.
Yep.
In
Right.
town.
And this is the
Oh,
area.
this
Mouth of the
bridge,
bridge.
not
Yep,
that
yep.
bridge.
Yeah.
In fact, it's right behind BC Pipes
Yeah, you
because
walk right behind all
he
of it.
approached them. They have cameras. He approached them about possibly getting a look at their footage to see who might be using down
Ah.
there. And we're not interested in helping in that.
There are cameras?
Yep.
Who has the camera?
BC Pike has
His
cameras.
business has
Oh,
cameras.
they approached him. I
Yeah,
understand. I
Rick
understand.
approached him, according, that's what he told me.
Oh.
So, he just wanted me to share it.
I did hear on, I think it was local news, that same issue in Bangor, Brewer,
Oh, it's everywhere.
yeah, you know, just in the parking lot of Walmart, hypodermic needles on, on the islands. Oh.
Anything else? No executive session? It is 6:27. I make a motion that we adjourn. Oh, before we do that, when are we going to meet again?
Next Wednesday is okay?
Do we want to do we have enough to meet again next week?
Well, yeah,
Okay,
everything we've tabled.
all right.
That's what we all agreed on. As
Yep.
long as you
Yeah.
get us here every week, we're gonna be here.
Yep,
Yep.
When you think it's calmed down and we don't need to be here, we'll skip a week or.
Well, I'm
whatever you
skipping a week
recommend.
because I have B&B training.
Okay.
So that'll be the next week that I'm skipping,
Okay.
so this week.
Okay.
so just to summarize, you're gonna, well, you know that, you're gonna look into the options on the Gray Road, we know where we're going there, and is there anything else that we, okay. 6:28, I make a motion that we adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, that was short,
Slick.
or shorter.
Yeah, right.